Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can extract automatically some information from emails that you receive and send it over to other applications that you probably use for your business. The good news is that you don't need to be a programmer to do this. It's very, very simple. And you don't have to pay anything. We're going to use free softwares. This is how the process looks like. You receive the email, you send it over to a mail parsing software. That software will extract the data based on some parameters that you have set up. The data you have extracted will be sent over to Zapier, which is a software that is in charge of basically doing automations between two softwares. In our case, we have the mail parsers on the left, and on the right, we have another software that it could be Google Sheets, a CRM, or a marketing software. Now, before we move on, some of you might be thinking, why are we not using the Zapier email parser software? What do I mean? If you don't know Zapier that well, as I said, yes, it connects two different platforms together, but it also provides some integrated tools. One of them is a mail parser tool. And the reason why I don't want to use it is very simple. I just think that it's not as powerful as dedicated mail parser softwares. First, you need to make your free mail parser account. Go to the description of this video down below, click on the link, make your account, and come back once you are ready. Once you have logged in, you will see this page. You just click here, and we're going to create our first inbox. We can pick a name. In my case, I want to create an inbox that will receive Airbnb booking confirmations and extract data from those emails. So I'm gonna call this inbox Airbnb confirmation. You could choose a category. I haven't set up any, of course, so but you don't really need it. And you can put some notes, but I think, this is a very explicit name for the inbox. You don't need much more than that. So I'm just gonna click on save. So of course, Mailparser needs to receive the emails it has to parse. And here is just telling us, the inbox you have created has this email address. So I'm just gonna copy it and move on to my Gmail account. You could have, any other client. I use this one for this example, but each email client has a forwarding option. And I'm just going to show you now how we can use it. So I'm just going to click on settings, SEO settings, forwarding, add a forwarding address, and paste the address that we copied before. Next, proceed. Okay, I'm going to click OK here. Now we need to set up the forwarding so that it only sends the emails that we want to parse. And the reason is because Mailparser tracks the number of emails it parses. And once you go over a certain number, you have to start paying the service. So we have to be very careful in order not to waste the emails that you can parse every month. To do so, we're going to use a filter, and we're going to create it here. Before we set the filter, I just want to show you the example of the email I want to parse. So this is the email. We have the from address, which is automated at airbnb.com. We have a subject here, and we have the body. We need to make sure that only the emails we want to parse get past the filters. So we can combine a few information in order to do so? Well, the first thing I'm gonna do is to copy the from address and paste it here. Now this could be enough, but I have tested it already and it isn't. Airbnb sends different kind of emails from this address. I just want to keep the reservation ones. So I'm going to copy this line from the subject. Of course, I can't copy this part because this will change depending on the destination. And I'm gonna paste it here in subject. So this means that it will look for emails that have these words in the subject. The subject doesn't have to match exactly these words. And I'm going to do create filter. I'm going to do OK. And now what Google is asking is, what are we going to do for the emails that pass these filters? And of course, we want to forward it to the address that we have set up before. Now, the issue is that we want to test the automatic forwarding we have set up. But in my case, and in your case as well, you would have to receive an actual email from that address. What we can do is, for now, we can change the from email address to your own email address. And then we can forward to ourselves the email we want to test. To do so, I'm just going to go here and edit the filter. And instead of the real email, I'm going to use my own email address. There you go. I'm just going to remove this comma just in case. Continue. And I'm just going to keep everything as set up and update filter. I'm going to move to the email I want to forward to myself. There you go. Send. I can see here I have received it. And you will have to wait a few minutes sometimes just a few seconds before you receive the email here. You can see one here already because I did this a few minutes ago, but if you're a little bit patient, you will see your email in a while. Finally, we can start playing around with Mailparser. So we have our email here, and if I click on it, yeah, I have a few tabs here on the top, and by default, it will show me which data email parser has extracted. Of course, hasn't extracted anything because we still have to set up which rules it has to use, which are called the parsing rules. And here we can see the original email. I'm just gonna go and click on parsing rules. And here comes the, let's say, the fun part. Uh, Mailparser recommend as an automatic setup. I find that usually people have very specific needs, so I prefer creating my rules manually. I'm just gonna go and click here. Next, we have to choose where the data that we need is located inside the email. In our case, we want to extract information that is inside the body. But if, for example, you want to save in another system information that is inside the subject, you can click here, or you can even save the attachment and send it to another application. So for our case, I'm just going to go with body. Here, I can choose if I want to work with the body of the email as HTML or plain text, but usually you can just go with plain text. Here, we see the extracted body on the top. And here we can see what is the result after applying the first rule. Now there is no rule, so we're gonna create the first one. Let's say that, for example, we want to extract the name of the apartment. So what we have to do is to come up with a pattern that we know we can rely on in order to always find the name of the apartment in every email that we receive. If we look at these, we can see that there is a sentence right before the one we're interested in that starts with "you're going to," and then the name of the place. Now, of course, this is going to change every time, but we can assume that this is going to be the same every time. So we're going to work with this. And the idea is that we want to say to Mailparser, okay, find the sentence that starts like this, extract the first sentence that you find, and ignore everything else. Let's jump in and add the first filter. Now, usually the most common one is the one at the top, and which is set start and end position, which exactly is what we need. We need to tell him where to start extracting, which is after this sentence, and stop extracting data after the end of this sentence, because we don't want to include anything else. So I'm going to click on find start position. We want to start after the sentence. So here, the right choice for us is to text match after. And I'm just going to copy this part, the one that we can rely on, and paste it here. I'm gonna click here, and we can see that after the filter, we will have this to work with. From here, we want to move the start position after the end of this sentence. So we can start after the next empty line, or for example, we could say after X lines. Now, because now the starting point is this, we could say we can start after 3 lines. And see here now, we're gonna work from this text here. Well, we basically not just have to tell Mailparser to stop taking data after the end of the first line. So we can define the end position. Remember, we just set the right start position, which is this. So we have to define the end position. And the end position is the end of line. So this is going to be the final result, exactly what we wanted. Looks good, yes. We are going to give a name to this field, and this is important. It is important to give it a meaningful name, because we will use it to identify this information when we are going to work inside Zapier. So I'm just gonna call it apartment name. Okay, validate and save. We have our first parsing rule created. And if I click again on the email we work with, now we have some parse data, and it's the apartment name called Studio Isa. Now we just have to take that information, the name of the apartment, from Mailparser and send it to wherever we need it. And in order to do so, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we're going to use Zapier. Zapier also has a free plan. You can Google it, or you can find the link in the description of the video. create the account, and once you're ready, just come back to the video and we're gonna move to the next step. So we start by creating a Zap. Zap is the name that Zapier gives to its automations. And the general structure of a Zap is when this happens, do this. And usually something that happens in a specific application, and the effect will be also applied in a specific application. Now, let's say that we want to send the name of the apartment to, I don't know, uh, maybe MailChimp. We know that the app where the event is happening is Mailparser, which is integrated with Zapier. So if I look for it, there you go, Mailparser. The event, there is only one, which is the one we are looking for. New email parsed. Triggers when a new email is parsed in an inbox. Exactly. This is what starts us up. Yes. Continue. Now, Zapier needs authorization from you who own the Mailparser account to look for the emails that are parsed. So I'm just going to sign in. And here I'm just going to put my data and give all the authorizations needed. I'm just going to skip ahead. Once you have logged in, you can choose which inbox email parser is going to trigger this event. You have to click test trigger in order to move on to the next step of the Zap. Here you can see the email that Zapier has found. We can see it's the one we worked on before because we can see the data that Zapier is extracting, and we can see the custom data, apartment name with the value Studio ISA. Now that we have correctly configured the trigger, we're going to choose what is going to happen every time an email is parsed. Here you can see there are some examples of applications. You can send the data we extracted with Mailparser. And of course, each of you is going to need something a little bit different. So the objective of the next things I'm going to do in this video is just to give you an example of how you can use the data that you have extracted and do something with it. I'm not going to go into too much detail. It doesn't really make sense, but I hope it will give you a general idea on how you can move on by yourself. For this example, I decided that I want to have a Google spreadsheet where I can save the name of the Airbnb apartments that have been booked. In this example, I wanted to write the apartment names in a Google Sheet that I've created here. I have chosen as an event that a create spreadsheet row should happen every time an email is parsed. I've chosen the event here. I click continue. I've already done these things. I'm just going to show you what happened. I've chosen the Google account and which drive, what's the name of the spreadsheet, and in which worksheet I'm going to write the row. The worksheet is basically this one here at the bottom. Zapier is showing me that there is one header of a column, which is this one here. So I'm gonna tell him to what to write here. Now, since I have the data I need extracted on the first step of this Zap, I will look for the name of the apartment here. I can't see it here. These are some information
that Zapier is detecting, but it's not among these three. So I'm going to click on show all options. And here I can see the information I'm looking for. So I'm just going to continue. I'm going to do a test and continue. This is mandatory. All right. And now I can see here that I have the name of the apartment in a row. At this point, I just have to publish the Zap in order to make it work, because at the moment it's off and it's not going to do anything. And there you go. Now we have our working Zap. We can see it here by clicking on Zap. We can see it's running. I hope you guys that you have enjoyed the video. I'm aware that the quality is not best. This is the first time I make a video like this. And I really appreciate if you give me some feedbacks here in the video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to write them and I'll make sure that I can answer them as soon as possible. Thank you.